What are you talking
Which
about?
ones?
Well, certainly not the manned ones. The unmanned ones, yeah, sure, but the manned ones aren't.
What are they then?
They're completely chemical,
Can I post
or
a link in the
almost
Discord?
completely
Does it
chemical.
work?
Yeah, and we know that we don't know if there's something better, but we can speculate that fusion is the basis. So if another civilization has spacefaring, they will have at least fusion.
Wait, where'd Vectron go? Why did he leave?
When did who leave?
Vectron. I don't know where he went. He didn't say goodbye.
We were probably shouting too much.
Yeah, probably. He likes peace and quiet. Oh, is he? Oh, is he? Yeah. Okay, there we go. I scrolled down.
Well, the thing is, as long as you don't have information, any speculation is just as valid as long as it makes sense. So there's no point
What?
trying to validate it, because for all we know, it doesn't make any difference whether they do exist or not. They might exist.
Wait,
but
what are we talking about right
I
now?
posted the link on the public chat if anyone is interested.
But the point is, in like 10 minutes, somebody could make a scientific announcement and say, hey, we found out fusion is never going to work because XXX law has been discovered. We've got to do something else.
well, then we're fucked.
Thorium. Thorium works just fine.
Well, actually, depending on your actual economic productivity and ability to produce energy to build into it, you could actually create fairly nice fission craft. The problem is that in order to build it, you have to get the parts into space, and that is expensive and difficult.
Well, exactly.
Or
And
you have to be willing.
It's just that you have to violate some treaties about weapons in space.
No, it's expensive. Fission vehicles, if they're properly shielded for human use, are quite heavy.
And quite safe.
Well,
Well, that's
quite safe in certain environments. I mean,
Right is the right word.
That's the problem with this stuff these days. You can either, well, that's the choice when it comes to radiation. You can either radiate yourself to hell or die of lead poisoning.
Go back to the first argument. Wasn't what exactly you were arguing for in the Elite universe?
We were talking about the unknown artifacts.
Yes, and that was exactly what you were arguing for. That there needed to be some kind of supervision.
Well, I was talking about how they're possibly alien.
See, we've helped him. He says they're possibly alien, not they
Well, I said
are,
possibly
because
the
that's
whole
his
time.
conclusion. No, you gotta say
Maybe you just
possibly. You
haven't
gotta say
heard me.
possibly. No. I heard you quite well, where you said
Arguing for the alien.
fact or literally, when actually the exact opposite was true. It was neither fact nor
Because
literal.
You're picking my words to pieces.
No, you're taking the English language to pieces. With all due respect, sir.
Where are you from, by the way, McCoy?
Well,
The place where all the English language is always torn to pieces, Great Britain.
yes, I'm English, and what are you? What are you, Mr. Stephen?
Well, if my accent doesn't give it away, I'm from America.
Yeah, I noticed.
Your accent
So,
doesn't give it away from another European guy.
Go eat a Dunkin' Donut and shove your face.
Well, to be fair, McCoy is not European anymore.
But anyway,
He's
what is a Dunkin'?
Actually, he
Donut?
technically is for another 2 years. I know you guys, for some reason, want to have it cut and dry fast.
They are not on the continent. They are not European, by the way.
We're in the continent. We are not on
It's
the
a-
continent, but we're on this sort of general area.
It depends on your definition of Europe. I mean, you could
We are
say
not
that China and England are on the same continent, if you consider continent by definition to be a continuous landmass.
No, because there is no land bridge to England. Anymore.
Sorry, I meant China and France. If you said China and France were on the same continent, under the definition that it's a continuous landmass, then
yes,
they are.
on the continental definition. Do you go? No, if you go by the geological
I mean,
definition.
well, yeah,
It
but
is not the same.
it's some nonsense and it's murky. But the thing is that continent. If you look at the
Even
word,
because
even the word
our
continent.
European empire
You look
is
you look
bigger
you
than
look
the
at the
Chinese
word
empire.
you look at the word continent. The root of the word is continue. for it to be continuous. A continuous landmass is what Asia and Europe are. Now you could argue actually in some sense, I mean I guess at that point everything's on the same continent. You could argue that England and France are connected because they're connected, just there's water on top of some of that there's water on top of that land connection.
Tunnel. We have a land tunnel between England and France.
Yes.
You can walk
We have the
from
Eurostar.
France to England if you wish.
Yeah, but I mean,
can walk.
there was before that even there was a land connection between England and France. It just happened to be covered by water.
Yes, and it was about thousands of some years ago. And in any case, the French just crossed it and conquered England 1,000 years ago. So
And how did that work out in the end?
pretty well, if you
Well,
mean.
Wait, are you French, by the way?
Technically, I am European. I do live in France, but I don't consider myself French.
Well,
Because
what
I don't
nationality
consider
are you?
Technically French, but I do not wish to be called French because I am European.
Bonjour.
My nationality is European, if you really ask.
So if Martin, are
No,
you
I
still
was
there?
trying to be nice. Bonjour.
Oh, yes, thank you.
My French is incredibly bad. I could say a few words, but
Don't worry, my English is as bad.
no, your English is way better than my French.
To be fair, English is the lingua franca of everywhere.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad I speak English, because English is just sort of it's regarded as a universal language.
Yeah, to be fair, right now, if you learn English, you can communicate.
I think it's funny that the term is lingua franca, but it's not French.
No, but lingua franca is not from the French; is from Latin. Lingua franca meant that it was the tongue that people spoke.
Yeah, but if you think about the local,
honestly.
well, I thought it came from the idea of the Franks, who were
Yes,
actually
but
localized
no,
in France at the time.
It is really not a land-based term. It was something that was brought about by sailors, actually. Lingua franca is a word from the seas.
All right, let's take a look at the etymology of lingua franca.
Go ahead. It would tell you that it's something of a kind of a maritime term. It was the language used by this, well, that was at least understood
Okay,
by
so that
most of
so
the
I think what
sailors
I
of the
said was
European
actually,
continent.
well, what I said was right. The origin is Frankish, and its origin is from the 17th century, meaning Frankish tongue.
But used mostly by sailors, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, you know, there's some more story to it maybe, but the technical correctness stands. Anyway, if Martin's still there, Vectron's still there, I assume he understands that ion drives, while quite useful in space, are not very useful on the planet, on Earth, as
No, they're
as
not.
takeoff
No,
vehicles,
they are
because
useless.
they produce not enough thrust, right? They produce high velocity particles, which are good for high velocity ships, but
The
not for
ion
when you need
engines are
thrust.
No,
And the question-
they produce long thrust.
The ion engine
Okay.
is
They
only
can
useful.
continue to push and accelerate the ship long enough to reach significant relativistic velocities.
Exactly. Using an ion drive, you could accelerate a ship to 0.1 c.
I think maybe
0.5 is what I read.
I read 0.1.
0.5 in about 20 or 30 years, if I remember correctly. With our most advanced ion drive. If we were to launch a probe today, propelled by an ion drive, and we would let it run in the galaxy, it would reach 0.5 C in about 50 years. And just think about it, 0.C for the human species is pretty damn impressive. If I don't know if I'm the only one who is amazed about that.
well, that's subjective.
Seriously?
I mean, do you not? I mean, do you not think that it's amazing that we can go past the speed of sound, considering we can barely run 10 miles an hour?
No, it's not that amazing anymore because we were born after.
Ah, see, so it is completely subjective. If you were born 100 years ago, you would say that's incredible. So.
Yes, but subjective compared to our generation.
Okay, well.
What ship do you know that can go 0.c, 0.5c? 0.1.
I don't know. My Python for one.
My Cobra maxes out at 2001C.
My ASP Explorer beats you.
So what does ASP stand for?
It is
Oh, whoops.
ASP.
It's ASP. It's
It
literally
is
the name.
a spider name.
Yeah.
Snake.
A
Snake, yeah.
Snake name.
So why did you say ASP then?
Because I have a shitty accent and ASP is easier to pronounce than ASP. I wasn't sure how to pronounce
You
ASP.
say ASP very nicely.
Yeah, you say it well. You speak better than McCoy does.
Oi, watch it.
Yes,
Watch
but
it,
I wasn't
spaceman.
sure that it was the right spelling.
Look, if anyone questions your accent, just know that you speak better English than most English people do.
Thank you.
I was
It
taking
takes-
I was taking RMTZ, but okay.
It takes an incredibly upper-class person to speak like this.
Now, what it takes to speak that well is simply to, when you are not in an English-speaking country, is just to watch every movie, every TV series that you can in English with English subtitles. That's all it takes. I never learned English at school. I only learned it by watching stuff that I like to watch, but that wasn't available in my language.
I just posted the thing that sums me up in the public channel.
Well, bucket and bucket is pronounced the same.
No. It's not pronounced bucket. It's pronounced bouquet.
No, you don't pronounce the second U.
No, you don't get it, do you?
Okay,
Maybe
so-
because I'm French.
So you can do this math. If 1 kilowatts gives you 25 millinewtons, then if you can scale that up, assuming you could figure out how much power would be required for the thrust that you see on, say, let's say a Saturn V for clarity. So the initial thrust is 34,000 kilonewtons. This one I said was 20. So let's just say 25 and 34 are the same. Millinewtons to thousands of kilonewtons. That's 10 to the 6 down to 10 to the minus 3. So 10 to the 9. So 10 to the 9 times something that's 10 to the 3. 10 to the 12. 10 to the 12 watts is your answer, Vectron, if it's scaled completely linearly. And your efficiency was the same. 10 to the 12 watts is 1 terawatt of electricity. And there's your answer.
Stupid question, but what are you talking about? Because
I'm answering Vectron or Martin Sko's question on the stream, where he asks how much power would be required to push an ion thruster to the thrust levels required for actual takeoff from the Earth in a reasonable, nice ship. And so I did an approximate calculation based on Saturn V's initial thrust and scaled it up from the power used to get normal thrust in an ion thruster.
But Saturn V is not our fastest ship.
A what?
Saturn V is not the best we got.
Well, it's the best that's been created.
Alright, I gave you the been created.
Yeah.
But it's not the bet we envisaged.
Well, sure. I mean,
Best we planned was Orion, if I remember correctly.
well, so
Nuclear
the
blast
Ares 5, the Ares 4, and some of the SLS would be more thrust, but
No, Orion.
no, Orion's the name of the capsule. The actual rocket is named Ares 5 and Ares 4. The two different versions.